Welcome back to the Slate Show on the 1009 Network. It is episode 4 of the third week slash second week slash fourth. There's a lot of weeks that are messed up right now with the week 0 of college football. It's throwing me off, but it's week 3 theoretically of college football. And week
Yes,
2 of NFL.
of the NFL, right? Yeah, and this is our fourth show, so it all makes no
Yeah.
sense.
The math. And we're missing one person, so there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Yeah, getting into the slate, I mean, it's nothing to die for. Last week was obviously insane games, but there probably will be some crazy games.
I mean, yeah, these slates that you look on paper and you kind of go, they ended up being the craziest ones.
Yeah,
Maybe not two top 10 upsets like last week, but I could see some of these more slept-on games, maybe without numbers next to them, being just as wild as what we saw last week. So,
yeah, it's just gonna be a weird year in general. People are saying it's gonna be like 2007 again, but who knows with all these upsets already.
Right. But yeah, another two-pack on Friday. Nothing crazy again. We do see Louisville again. This time they host Florida State. And then out west, another one you could kind of just turn on and fall asleep to. Air Force and Wyoming close out the Friday slate. The clearly better of the two matchups features the ACC again. Louisville beat UCF last week, a big win for Scott Satterfield. Gets the Noles in his place this week. What do you think about that one?
It's going to be a big game for FSU, obviously coming off that big, not necessarily upset, but big win off of LSU. They had a bye week last week, so they need to, like I mentioned, for some teams last week, carry that momentum over. And Louisville as well. They had a big road win against UCF last week on Friday. Seems like they're just playing a high school schedule with these bunch of Friday night games. But it's going to be interesting to see these two play, see how Malik Cunningham fares again. I think they kind of opened up the offense more for him against UCF last week, which I think everybody was expecting at the beginning of the season. So I'm definitely going to be watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen two Louisville teams so far. The team that got blown up by Syracuse, which may not be as bad of a loss as we might have thought 2 weeks ago, and the team that went on the road. And again, I don't know if teams ever play back-to-back Fridays, but here they are again on a Friday night at home this time. I think if the team that showed up last week is who we see tomorrow night, then they could very well beat the Florida State team. They're catching a field goal at home.
If it's the FSU, if it's the LSU FSU team and the UCF Louisville team, it's going to be a good game.
Right. And I think that, yeah, the spread reflects it's going to be a close one, hopefully. I think Florida State wins personally. It's a Friday game, so we won't have it in the card for later. But I think Jordan Travis does enough, even on the road in conference, to keep them rolling coming off the bye.
Yeah. I like Florida State straight up, and that 2.5 seems kind of nice. The field goal ain't much, but you know. And that second game you mentioned, a lot of people are high on Air Force this year.
Yeah, that's just we've talked about BYU a lot as a spoiler team. I think Air Force is another spot. Not this week playing Wyoming, obviously, but I think they've got some teams in the schedule that they may get looked over. And the traditional teams like Stanford out west, who we saw last week, aren't quite the same, not quite as dangerous. Could be replaced by teams like this that kind of bubble up for a year or two and assert themselves as teams you don't want to play anywhere.
Yeah. I think they're the best service academy this year. A lot of them haven't winning the Commander's Trophy. A lot of people with the start of this season have them winning the their conference out there, and I forget, are they in the MAC? No, the MAC, the Mountain West. What are they in?
They might be. That seems right geographically. Not too sure.
Yep, the Mountain West Conference.
Okay, yeah, so they could very well contend in that conference as well.
I think that Boise is really all that's left out of that conference, and even then, they haven't been up, but they haven't been what they were in the late 2000s.
No, I mean that's one of those conferences that may go extinct once we really start moving teams around with realignment, and the cream of the crop in these lesser conferences gets sniped as big conferences lose teams headed to the southeast. But yeah, Air Force is a team to look out for, and we'll see them on Friday night. Yeah, so moving on to Saturday, number one team in the country is going to be on the road. And if we know anything about this season, is expect the unexpected, because last week number one was on the road against, a much better team, but they escaped with a 1-point win. So Georgia got the bump over them from 2-1 in the AP poll, which regardless of what you think about it, it's all we got to go off of right now. So
Yeah.
Georgia, 25-point favorites heading to Columbia to play Spencer Rattler in South Carolina.
Yeah, that one, I have a feeling it could get ugly quick.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was I saw the score, or excuse me, the spread, and was like, well, I think Georgia scores 35. Do I think South Carolina scores 10? And I was a lot quicker to say yes to the Georgia half of that than the USC half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hit
But then
my
again, probably with this game, either one you choose, the other is going to happen. That's just
right.
also how this whole season has been for just about everybody betting.
Yeah, it seems a bit like Stanford last week, a game that I do think Georgia rolls, but I'm probably not going to touch it.
Yeah, I'm not touching that either. I mean,
It
I
would
want
take
Georgia to
perfect
win,
Rattler.
obviously. Yeah. Perfect Rattler, perfect play calling, which their play calling
Right.
has been suspect all season. Their defense has lost two starters already with the season-ending injuries. So,
The run defense is going to have to be overhauled in a week because what we've
yeah.
seen just last Saturday is not going to hold up against any SEC opponent, to be quite honest, let alone Georgia. So, yeah, it,
Yeah.
that might very well be ugly.
Look for South Carolina to start off 0-2 in conference play.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shane Beamer very well could be the man for that job, but this early going, not
Yeah.
quite getting his guys in the building, these games are going to happen. So,
A lot of people weren't happy with him keeping Satterfield, but that's a different story for a different day. So,
yeah. Another game that was billed as a blowout and now a little bit of pushback. Oklahoma at Nebraska at noon. Scott Frost dismissed promptly as NFL games kicked off on Monday in a move that,
Sunday.
yeah, my bad. Sunday, about 1:15, right when the slate kicked off. I guess trying to hide it, it didn't work. It was all over Twitter. I think Schefter and a bunch of NFL guys chimed in as well, kind of as a joke for the timing of it. But it's weird. The line has moved a couple points towards Nebraska with Frost being dismissed.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
can't. I don't.
That did make. I mean, I get. I don't know. That makes no sense to me.
I mean, if you buy the coaches a narrative problem, sure, but I mean, it's the same players on the field, and even if they go from underperforming to overperforming, they're still having, I think, one of, if not the best team in the Big 12 coming down.
Yeah.
Who, we haven't seen tested at this point, but still.
Yeah. And this would probably be Venables' not necessarily biggest win, but I mean, if he wins this with the way the spread has moved, like,
Right.
it'll
And the
put him on the right
history of
track for
this
sure.
rivalry extends far beyond, I mean, anything close to recent history. These two teams used to be two of the, maybe the prominent programs in the country, and they used to match up. So this game does matter to a lot of people. Don't let that fool you. Don't let the spread fool you. The number behind Oklahoma and absent from Nebraska. Nebraska being in the midst of another coaching search after their alumni hire that at the time was a home run. I don't think anybody really saw this coming as far as
Yeah.
Frost never getting any kind of traction at Nebraska. He lost 8 one-possession games last year, and it just seems like this year is going to be more of the same. I mean, you can't lose Georgia Southern by anything. I don't care what transpires. Give up 600 yards of offense last week. Paid them $1.4 million to show up and drop the game. So I think that they were right to fire him, and I don't know how they keep it close either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving down to another ACC team that I think is better than a lot of people thought. 2-0 Syracuse is hosting Purdue. That offense led by Sean Tucker. They're obviously leading rusher and also leading receiver, believe it or not. As they
Really?
move on from the DeVito era in Syracuse, looking to go 3-0 for the first time in, I would assume, several years.
Yeah. When was the last time Syracuse had a 3-0 start? I do not remember that at all.
No idea.
But that was a tough one. I mean, Purdue played Penn State pretty well. I don't know what they did last week or the past 2 weeks.
I think it was a throwaway game last week.
Did they not play? Let's see. I'm pulling it up now.
They might have had that bye. They played week 0, didn't they?
Yes, that's that Penn State. That's when that Penn State
and
game was.
they had Penn State beat and just refused to run the ball to try and bleed the clock and get out of there with the win, which let Sean Clifford jog down the field and beat them with seconds left.
Looks like they had the bye after week
Last
0.
week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they played Indiana State and beat them 56-0.
Right. Okay. That's the game I was thinking of.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Carrier Dome it's a dome. I mean, it's
We have
not
bad memories there. So yeah.
it's not like a crazy. I mean, they'll get up for a Clemson, for a Florida,
Right.
but Purdue, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be insane. I mean, they are on top of you, so who knows? They
Right.
might
Some
show
weird.
out. Hopefully, there'll be a Sean Tucker tweet Sunday morning that gives us his recap of the game.
Right. I think he does really, really well. You hope he's not the leading receiver in this game too. I looked that up and was stunned. I was trying to look at his rushing numbers, which of course are extremely impressive to this point. And yeah, leads the team in receiving yards as well. So hopefully some receivers get more involved there as well, and they protect the Carrier Dome and try and repair the ACC's reputation to this point.
No, definitely. Um, Speaking of repairing ACC reputations, oh, Tony, Tony Elliott, you need this one, buddy.
Yeah, real bad.
Yep. So, as you write on our notes, the ACC Killers, Old Dominion, are coming to Virginia. Virginia Tech, take notes.
They got that part
Um,
right. Yeah, that's
yeah,
progress.
but Virginia needs a win after getting just dominated last week.
Yeah, they started out well against Illinois and then just got their
Yeah,
doors blown off.
I
So
couldn't remember if it was Indiana or Illinois, but yeah, Tony needs a big win this week. I mean, the spread's 8 points. I think that's pretty generous.
yeah, I was surprised to see it over a touchdown, to be honest.
Yeah. But then again, yeah, who knows? I mean, the Sun Belt, they are obviously having a time. Is ODU in the Sun Belt?
I don't think so. I do
Oh,
not think so. But we saw this team's ability to win ugly in hosting Virginia Tech, beating them outright as I think two TD dogs. But again, they look to terrorize an ACC team in the state of Virginia. That rushing attack is there. I could see Virginia having problems,
nope.
especially.
They're Sun Belt. They joined this
Oh, they
year.
are.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Hmm. Might be betting ODU.
You said they joined this year.
Yeah.
That team is. I mean, that whole conference is a bunch of killers. That's yeah.
That's just
I
they're going to pick up. Some of those teams are probably like when conferences get bigger. I can see
oh
App State
absolutely.
in the ACC,
Coastal getting moved
Coastal in the
somewhere.
ACC, SEC. They're dangerous. They got some friskiness to them.
Yeah. So don't schedule these teams. Definitely don't go to these teams. Hopefully Tony Elliott can do better than Brent Pry and come out with a win. But yeah, I think 8 is maybe a little bit of recency bias baked in there as well. But
Definitely.
yeah, hopefully better things for the ACC.
Yeah. Come on, Tony Elliott. You probably would have had a better job being offensive coordinator, but who knows?
Yeah, another team looking for a win, not ACC, but they were for a year. Notre Dame, without Tyler Buchner, Drew Pine now the quarterback with Buchner suffering an shoulder injury that may very well end his season last week as they lost to Marshall at home. They now get the Cal Bears in town. I think they're 11-point favorites, which definitely has some recency bias baked in there. I think that's a 20-point spread.
Yeah.
But if Notre Dame even
Wins last week.
I mean, has any kind of remarkable showing last week, I think that's a much bigger number. But it's not. They're down to QB, so here we are.
Yeah. I think probably just about every game from here on out is a must win, unless it's Southern Cal or Clemson.
Right.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
if it's a non-ranked matchup, or like somehow they get back ranked, they have to win every game.
Yeah. Anything in South Bend, I think at this point, you've got to win just to have some self-respect from inside the program, let alone the national image that now amounts to pretty much nothing as they tumble out of the AP poll.
Yeah. Tough start for Marcus Freeman. Yeah, you would have liked to see him win the bowl game, but I know that's
Yeah,
it's hard to
that's
win a
more of a
bowl
bonus
game.
than anything.
Yeah. But there were a lot of hype coming in for them this season, but they obviously have slightly disappointed. So
Yeah, big time.
if they don't make a bowl, is he on the hot seat?
If they go 5-7, he is on the hot seat. Absolutely.
I think we looked at the schedule Monday night when we were reviewing, and
I think y'all said 3-5 heading into our game, and I said 4-4.
yeah, and then they finish off with Southern Cal. So
Right, that's a loss. So yeah, we play them November the 5th. So that's pretty late in the year. Obviously, they got 8 games under their belt at that point. But
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not counting. I mean, at this point, Clemson or Notre Dame, or excuse me, Southern Cal as wins. So that's you got to win the other two to be postseason eligible, even if they are 4-4. So
Yeah. So must win. Probably interesting to see how Drew Pine actually plays and win a full game.
right,
I don't know a thing about Cal this year. I always forget they're a thing. Like they're not relevant in any sport
no,
really. Maybe like gymnastics or something, but football, basketball, and baseball. Ever since Aaron Rodgers left, and Marshawn, I have no clue about them ever.
yeah. I mean, Jalen Brown, a notable basketball alum. They've had some good teams in the past, not super
Just did
recently.
not do not know that at all. That was my finals MVP. That obviously did not work out.
No, I mean, we all pick Celtics, so.
Yeah, I know how to pick MVPs.
Yeah, that's the 1 o'clock slate. 3:30, we get one of the two ranked matchups of the day. Number 12 BYU, fresh off a crazy win against Baylor at home. They're now on the road, going to another team in need of a win. Number 25, somehow Oregon, a 3.5 point home favorite. I'll use the word somehow again.
Yeah,
This last time we saw Bo Nix and the Ducks, they were getting murdered 49-3 on national TV.
and I think
And
last week they won like 70 something to.
right, they beat up somebody just like Utah did. Um, Now they host BYU, who, like I said, big home win last week. I know the road's a different dynamic, but I just don't know if this Oregon crowd really gets up for this one. Given, I mean, I think if they lose by 20 to
Yeah,
Georgia, it's a different story. They lost by 46 points. I mean, it's not season ending because obviously in the Pac-12, the conference games are really what matters, and this isn't even a conference game either.
yeah.
But I mean, any far-fetched playoff dreams die with a loss in this one. So I don't know what.
I think there are no playoff dreams anymore. This game probably had a lot of hype before that shellacking in Atlanta.
Right.
They were probably like, oh, this could be a top 15 matchup.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Especially
But
BYU still wins last week.
BYU's got a lot of momentum, obviously coming off that big win versus Baylor. 3.5 is kind of like you were saying. That's interesting to me. I can definitely see some covering, but who knows?
Yeah. I think
Um,
recency bias is something we're going to see a lot of bets lose. I mean, Saturday and Sunday, honestly. I think
yeah,
you got to try and not get tunnel vision, especially this early.
that's what happened last week with some of my bets.
Right. I mean, it's tough because the last time we saw this Oregon team in a meaningful game,
Yeah,
I mean, every drive Georgia had, they scored until
doors
they
got kicked
didn't feel
down.
like scoring anymore. Yeah. And then we saw Bo Nix couldn't get the ball in the end zone with like 8 plays inside the 15 against their twos on defense. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, BYU's no Georgia. So, Oregon going home in need of a win. I think all the pressure's on Oregon given their showing at the first of the year. So,
yeah,
that makes me lean towards BYU a bit, but we'll pick this game later on.
yeah, definitely.
Um, Another weird
Let's yeah.
line I noticed. Number 22 Penn State heads to Auburn as a 3 point favorite. Auburn fresh off an 8 point home win against San Jose State.
They are
Um,
terrible.
that
Auburn is
is,
terrible.
yeah, TJ Finley is not the future at quarterback. Neither is, frankly, anyone else currently in the program. So
Yeah,
Brian Harson on the way out. I don't know if he'll bring his assistant with him. That remains to be seen, but I could see him being unemployed by Halloween. So,
yeah. And I know why this spread is -3. It's because they think that Auburn has an insane home field advantage, which I mean Jordan Hare can get rowdy, but they don't look
right.
good at any
The
point.
the ability is there. The inspiration to I don't see. I just don't. I mean, this could very well be a team that misses a bowl game
Oh, definitely.
with what they have on the
With-
horizon in SEC play.
Yeah,
I mean,
what they have
and,
on the field and what they have to play, it's not looking great for Auburn.
right. And I mean, with Scott Frost gone, I think Harson's the most likely coach next among Power Five schools to be fired. So,
Yeah,
with that in mind, a lame duck in theory running the program. I mean, how much are you going to get out of the players, let alone the fans? So,
yeah. And he's also had already some controversy at the school, so
yeah,
he's on a very short leash.
yeah.
leash, to say
Yeah,
the
not a
least.
lot of margin of error on or off the field for him. And I think Penn State, if James Franklin doesn't start getting things going, I mean,
I'm surprised he hasn't been on the hot seat more.
him and
Outside of
Jimbo,
that Big Ten championship season,
right? I think him
he's
and Jimbo have a lot more to show on the field than people realize.
yeah.
And
We'll
now
get
Jimbo
to
with recruiting is a bit
yeah.
different, but
Yeah. we'll get
With
to
recruiting
Jimbo later on
nowadays,
too.
if you keep losing, those guys will leave and they will decommit. Uh, it's easier now
Especially
than
with
ever.
yep, and especially with what NIL is nowadays. So
Yeah, I mean, I saw this. I mean, this is social media, but I saw a five-star running back. Um, there was a post about him taking an official visit to A&M, and he reposted on his
he said
Instagram and
no.
said, "I'm not going to be there." And that's, I mean, that's not
The,
a great sign.
there was also that player that was driving like 1,000 miles per hour in a parking garage.
Oh yeah. The stunning GTA remake
Yeah,
in a parking garage going like 60 miles an hour.
yeah,
I'm not familiar with who that was or
no
what
clue.
in the world is going on. I would hope that Jimbo handles that internally, but
They got a lot of stuff going on with the midnight yell thing, and then all this.
right, that was incredible.
Aggie Land is not looking great.
No, the reason for Aguilar not looking great is App State, and they will host game day in Boone this weekend, and you can find their 3:30 game on ESPN Plus, which I think is the stupidest thing that's happened in sports this year.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
I just don't under what possesses you to think somebody's going to pay $5.99 a month to watch App State Troy when you have Georgia Tech and Ole Miss playing. I think simulcast ESPN ABC at 3:30.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they made these decisions earlier on in the season, but I think it's something you can easily switch up. Throw them on ESPNU, throw them on ESPN News, something.
Right. It's not
Not on
like they have to be
ESPN
on.
Plus.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything before the paywall. It's just ridiculous. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I think we're biased because obviously Chase Price came through Clemson. But if you're gonna have game day there, Luke Combs guest picker, they got that right at least.
yeah, that's the first time
Game day,
Game Day has gotten a guest picker right in like a year or two.
right? I mean, Jack Harlow, great name, terrible guest on the show. I'll say that.
Who was last week? Who was last week?
I couldn't even tell you. That's
Oh,
part of the
Hangman
problem.
from.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but he wasn't terrible. But
No, he
I
was
mean,
solid. Yeah.
yeah,
With the bar set where it was by Jack Harlow, I don't think it was
yeah.
too tough for him.
They just need more people that either went to the school, did time at the school, or is actually a big fan, noticeable fan.
Right.
But no, they're going for popularity contest.
So yeah, game day will be great. That crowd there is going to be, I think,
Insane.
yeah. I mean,
They are going to be
Clemson,
drunk
Louisville
from
times 10.
Thursday.
Oh yeah, they might cancel class until the end of the month. To be honest, they're 2 TD, well, 12.5 point favorites against Troy, a team they've beaten pretty soundly the last couple of years, as Dave Portnoy found out on his show recently. So they played close. They ran through the last 5 years of scores. I think the closest game was 11 points. So
Yeah.
App State can look to continue that with obviously a reinvigorated fan base. Boone is going to be insane. Probably starting about now, 4 o'clock on a Thursday until early or very early Sunday morning, if I had to guess.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
we'll pick that one later again. But I just wanted to point out how stupid it is that game's on ESPN Plus and not one of like the 7 channels ESPN could put them on at 3:30.
Yeah. ESPN the Ocho. Put it on that.
Literally anything. But yeah, another couple SEC teams that we haven't really seen too much of recently as far as tests. Will Rogers, Mississippi State, are a 2.5 point favorite heading into LSU to face Brian Kelly and the LSU family, as
The fighting families.
he desperately needs a conference win to get that fan base off the uneasy side, I would say. Again, hot seat's thrown around a lot. The window to succeed as a coach went from 4 or 5 years to 2 or 3. I think Brian Kelly's gonna be fine, but we saw the social media stuff from Butte and the punt returner after that tough Florida State loss.
Has anything come out of that or no?
I don't think so. I mean, they're not in the portal or anything crazy like
Yeah.
that. I just think that his initial pitch to the team landed as well as he thought it did. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, Jane Daniels is extremely talented.
Stays in the pocket and actually passes.
Well, yeah, if he doesn't tuck and run every other, after
Yeah.
one read, then they'll figure that out. But I mean, that comes with getting it done in practice, making sure he's in a right system. I think Kelly can do that. He was a staple at Notre Dame for some pretty solid offenses there. Hit the playoff twice, so it's the resume's there, but it's got to translate a lot better than it has through, to be fair, 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
But I mean, Will Rogers is a quarterback that kind of like Will Levis, a little bit slept on coming into the season. I mean, there is hype there, and I think Levis proved it last week that it should be there. And I think if Will Rogers can go in and get a road win here, then we'll start to hear some buzz about him as well. They went to Arizona and won last week. That was just bizarre.
And I think it got late. They're done at like close to the Baylor BYU time. This one it got over.
Yeah, I remember Brandon Walker was trying to do the reaction pod
Yeah,
for Ryan
yeah,
Seroffness and watch that game at the same time. He was losing his mind. So, what do you
I
think about
would
that
be.
one?
Um, is it? Where's it at again? Is it at LSU?
Yeah, it's out at
I'm
LSU.
honestly surprised that Mississippi State is favored at
I
LSU.
am too. Yeah,
Um, it's not that, like you said, it's not like they have a slouch offense. They got guys like, and
right. The
Brian
talent's
Kelly's.
there.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, to be honest. I know Will Rogers is an underrated quarterback, kind of. Not a lot of people have him in their top five in the SEC, but he's playing like it. Um, but yeah, 2.5 is
Yeah,
that's very generous, especially with Mike Leach. He's not the Washington State.
right. No. And it may well be Will Rogers getting them that respect as far
Yeah,
as the spread goes. But yeah, I would not be surprised whatsoever if LSU won that game outright.
yeah, I agree with that statement.
Um, another big road game. Number 11 Michigan State heads to Washington to face Michael Penix and the Huskies. Washington 3-point favorite. That's actually a 7:30 primetime game on ESPN. What do you think about that one?
I really have not heard about much out of Michigan State this year. I mean, I guess they haven't played
Yeah,
anybody.
these are
Um,
two no teams that have not faced anything of merit
yeah,
to this point.
like I was surprised to see an 11, but beside Michigan State, I know their coach is he's good, and they obviously lost their big talented running back. Forgot his name.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I just have not paid attention to either of these teams. Seems kind of interesting. It's out in Washington.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's their first
Uh,
time traveling out there in like 50 years and change. So maybe some historical relevance there, like with Nebraska and OU. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sparty's going to have to show something. Just like, I mean, Washington will too. To be fair, this is two teams, like I said, 2-0, and the four opponents. I mean, there's really nothing spectacular about any of them. So, big litmus test for these two teams. I just think 11 next to Sparty is more of a product of them not losing to this point than anything else. They've kind of avoided
Yeah.
the carnage we've seen through week 0, 1, and 2. So I mean, that's almost a month now, and they've avoided the fate of a lot of teams. I mean, teams like Oregon, Notre Dame, just free falling right past them. So, but yeah, them as a top 10 team next week with a win would certainly be surprising. But it just is a testament to the craziness we've
Yeah.
seen so far this year.
Judging based off of some of these other games and opponents, unless someone really slips up, it might be a struggle for them to get in the top 10. But no, they're definitely knocking on the door.
Right. It may not be this week if we see a calm performance or a calm, upset week compared to last week where you had two top 10 teams
Yeah.
lose at home. But yeah, the second ranked matchup we've got in the slate and final one, unfortunately, is number 13 Miami heads to number 24 Texas A&M. A&M a 6-point favorite. That game kicks at 9 o'clock. So another late one. Miami today learned they will be without their top receiver due to a foot injury indefinitely, so he'll certainly miss this Saturday. A little bit more pressure on Heisman sleeper Tyler Van Dyke to
He's sleeping
big
right
game.
now.
Well, yeah, the Southern Miss game was just odd. They
Yeah.
rolled second half, but the first half was a struggle. They were nearly trailing at halftime. I mean, Frank Gore Jr., just tell by the name, that's not going to be an easy team to put down, and it certainly wasn't. So, but I mean, to do that, it's better to do what A&M did last week. To be fair.
Yeah. But this game had a lot more hype going into last week before obviously A&M did what they did and Miami struggling. It's definitely lost some of that hype.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
because
could be.
it was probably going to be game day, right?
I think so because Miami, you could argue, was potentially a top 10 team if they
Yeah.
just show up and blow out Southern Miss like they did Bethune-Cookman in their first game. So
Yeah. That's a weird game. I mean, I'll definitely watch it, but -6.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what to think about that. Jimbo's gonna have to look at some options at QB
They
because
got that LSU guy though, right? That's back up. I forgot his
Max
name.
Johnson, yeah,
Yeah. Transferred. Apparently, I mean, he's good, but he
right.
apparently
Haynes
not good enough.
King just looked. I think he had 90 yards passing last week. They have a
Yeah.
really talented running back whose name escapes me at the moment.
It's not Spiller.
They call him A Train. I
Good
forget his
reference.
actual name though.
Shout out to the boys.
But yeah, Isaiah Spiller, like you said, is a rookie on the Bolts right now, so
Oops.
they will not have him. But yeah, interesting game, big one for the ACC. I mean, you could argue the pressure's off Miami, even after I won't call it shaky. They won by like 20 points, but a little struggle out of the gate. We saw Oklahoma do the same thing the first half last week against a cupcake opponent. So it's kind of a trend nationally at this point. But yeah, I think the spread reflects the thought process behind Jimbo just telling his players like, look, if you guys want to matter this year,
You have to
I mean,
play. You got to
right,
play this game. This is a
right,
must win.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and if you guys want to keep the talent coming in to help us build something special, like I had at Florida State, I mean, he won't say that obviously, but to continue the trajectory he had established down in Tallahassee, these are games you got to win with the guys you got, so you can keep the talent coming in. They have the number one in class for next year. Remains to be seen again with player mobility being on the forefront if that stays where it is if they keep struggling. But yeah, we mentioned USC blowing out a trap opponent last week at Stanford. This week they get Fresno State at home, and the number sits currently at 12.5. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a weird one. Judging by the way they handled Stanford last week, their offense seems to be clicking and their defense has some studs. I don't know if much about Fresno State this year, but 12.5 just I figured it'd be higher, but I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird one, like you said.
Yeah, I mean we've only seen this USC team at home once, to be fair, and they blew out Rice, a team that was not expected to do literally anything against that offense. It was a 66-14 final there. So, I mean, as expected, they kind of walked through them. But I don't quite understand what this number is,
Yeah.
the story being told with that. I think that this is a team that's put up 30 points in back-to-back first halves and kind of cruised from there. We saw Stanford approach a backdoor cover last week, but it didn't happen. But again, that was at Stanford, and here we are, USC getting Fresno State at home, fresh off a shootout loss to Oregon State, who the
Yeah.
Trojans travel to next week. So maybe I mean, how
Yeah.
many is every road Pac-12 game going to be a look ahead spot or a trap game? I just don't know if we
It
can.
must be. I mean, when it comes to Southern Cal, it's got to
Yeah,
be.
I think they're just waiting for the impending fall. Maybe Oregon influencing that a bit. Utah as well with the Pac-12
Yeah.
seemingly their playoff hopes now riding solely on the Trojans. But I don't really don't. I mean,
Yeah.
Stanford I think last week was fair.
Yeah.
First
That's
road
what. Yeah.
game, coming off a Rice game that really doesn't mean anything, but they handled
Proved
that.
it.
It was 35-14 at the half.
Wait, it's at home.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I thought it was at Fresno State.
No, I did type it like that. That's my bad. But
Yeah, that 12.5 makes even worse sense now that I
right, that's what
realize
I'm
that.
saying. It's the same
Okay.
spread essentially as a week ago.
I
Now,
think I think I got one of my bets.
I mean, as we've seen with several of my Chargers games, the crowd out there in California isn't always the liveliest, especially with the home fans. But
I
I
think the
mean,
hype is a little different now. I think they're and
right?
UCLA they have no hype whatsoever. Like they got no
No,
fans.
no.
I think they're all trading in their bronze or their gold and blue for Sparty red and gold,
Yeah,
yellow, whatever their colors are.
I mean, you show me the kid that's going to cover Jordan Addison for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's probably three more that aren't as heralded, but are almost maybe as talented. So yeah, just very weird. I literally looked it up to make sure that they were at home because, like you mentioned, I was like, okay, road again, 2 TDs, fine. But then I was like, wait a minute, they're at home. So uh, another weird one. That's another late kick as well. 10:30 Eastern
Ooh,
is when that will get underway. So
that might be a wake up and see what the score is.
yeah, kickoff about halftime of Miami A&M looks like. But yes, that's the college slate. The ones I've circled that we thought were worth talking about. Give you some thoughts there.
Picks,
But
picks, picks, picks,
as
picks.
always, I have circled 5 exclusively so we can go game day style straight up. Tell you
Woo!
who we like. The first one I'll throw to you is number 12 BYU in Eugene playing number 25 Oregon.
Do we want to go over the rankings first from
Oh
the
yeah,
results from last week?
starting with last week's results. Yeah, please.
Yeah, we'll start with game day. I had a little bit of a not a good week picking games. I went 2-3. I got Tennessee, Iowa, or I got Tennessee and USC. I lost Iowa, Florida, Baylor.
Right.
And you went 3-2. You got Tennessee, Stan, Tennessee, USC, and BYU. Lost Iowa and Florida. And then Jacob also went 2-3. He had only got Tennessee and Iowa State. So I'm 11-4. You're 10-5. Grayson's 5. Or Jacob's 5-5. Good lord, I cannot read.
Yeah, just
But
a note. We have been unanimous in Florida games back-to-back weeks, and we have been wrong both times. So
yeah,
I
love to
left
see
them
it.
out this week on purpose.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that.
But
So
yeah, Cougars Ducks. Who you like?
I like the Cougars. Granted, I hope this is not me getting caught up in the hype from last week, but I feel like they're a little bit better team, and we saw Oregon just not look great at all. So I'm going BYU.
Yeah, I think it's a little early for Dan Lanning to have a turnaround. I realize, being at home helps a lot. You're not, especially not clearly across the country. So I think it's could be very well inside this number at 3.5, but I'm going to take BYU to get it done on the road and potentially enter the top 10 if we see some chaos ahead of them.
Yeah. Who knows what the way some of these games are going? They definitely might sneak in.
Right, and these AP polls to start the year have been just wild. So yeah, next one I got another. Well, features one ranked team. Number 22 Penn State as a field goal favorite heading to Auburn. It's another 3:30 game. What you thinking there?
I think we went over that one pretty well. I got the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just a lot of distractions on and off the field for Auburn. TJ
Yep.
Finley has struggled to this point. Like I said, we talked about this game earlier. 8-point home winning at San Jose State does not inspire a lot of confidence. Penn State won ugly against Purdue in conference play, but I think that they can bring some of that momentum down to the Southeast and get a road win. It makes me a little nervous going with the road team. 2 games to start with, but I think we are getting a better team in a short number. So I think,
Yep.
I think we'll get both of those.
I think we're gonna have some pretty similar picks this week.
Yeah.
Again, I just got a hunch.
Since ESPN will not respect this game, we will. Troy playing App State. App State at home, game day, going to be electric. 12.5-point favorites. Also 3:30. Who are you thinking there?
We got the fight and Chase Bryces. I'm going with App State.
Yeah, I mean, give me 7 to put up a bunch of 7s on this Troy team. Beat them 4 years in a row, 3 of those by 30-something points. That extends beyond, obviously, Chase Bryce's time there, but I think history will repeat itself, and I think we see App State in front
Yeah.
of maybe the best crowd to this point all season.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they win certainly outright, if not cover.
That North Carolina crowd was pretty popping. Yeah. You
That's
hear
fair.
this, Chase?
That's fair.
Chase Bryce. If you're for some reason, whatever, if why you're listening, I don't know why you would anyway. We're counting on you. We don't. We win.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, the last time we trusted him like this, it was against Syracuse, and Trevor was knocked out of the game, and we won that game too. So feeling good about App State this week.
Yeah, me too.
Another game featuring a road team and a 3-point spread. Actually, no, this is home favorite. My bad. Number 11 Michigan State heads to Michael Penix Jr. and the unranked Washington Huskies, but the Huskies are a 3-point home favorite. It's a prime time 7:30 kick. Who do you think wins that one?
I like Sparty. I just think they're a better team in general. I mean, I haven't seen much out of them, but that number beside them is giving me confidence. So, but we see where that's landing me this year.
Right. I think Big Ten team's going to have to control the trenches on both sides to be able to establish the run and stop Washington. If they want to make any kind of noise in the Big Ten, they're going to have to prove it on the road against much better teams in Washington. So I think to start off there, meaningful point of the schedule, 2 easy wins to start out from both of these teams. But I think that Mel Tucker, if he wants to start earning that huge contract, then he's going to have to win games like this, even as an underdog for reasons I can't understand, but I'm slightly concerned by. But yeah, I'll take Michigan State too.
Yeah, unless there's some injury we don't know about.
Right. I think they're going to run the ball and stop the run, and both those things are going to be enough to get it done.
Definitely.
All right.
So,
last game, second ranked matchup. You probably saw this coming. Number 13 Miami heads to College Station to face number 24 Texas A&M. A&M, a 6-point favorite. Mentioned it, late kick, 9 o'clock. Who do you think wins that one?
for you non-YouTube viewers, I'm going with Miami. I think they're.
You.
Yeah, we gotta have some variance, but I actually do like Miami in this game. Texas A&M's offense is just it's a struggle. I think Miami's offense is gonna come out firing a lot better than they did against Southern Miss. And their defense played pretty well. I mean, there was a tight game in the first half, but
right.
I think both teams that need it's a kind of must win for both teams. So, but I think Miami's going to come out on top.
Yeah, I don't love where I'm going with this, but if not now, win for Texas A&M. I mean, if they drop this game, you're not even at SEC play yet. Your season's over. You're starting to wonder about Jimbo's seat getting a little bit warm there. I think he was within a game of Kevin Sumlin to this point in their
Yeah,
coaching tenures in College Station. So I mean, it's the Bo Pelini effect so far. I think they have. I mean, it's week 3. I'm saying they have to win this game. I think losing to App State, whether it's September or any other time in the schedule, is just something you certainly don't plan for. And if it does happen, you're going to have to bounce back pretty strongly. I mean, even off the field with recruiting, it's huge. So I think A&M gets it done. It might be as close as that A&M game, or excuse me, App State game was last week, 20-17. I think it's a little bit more higher scoring.
yeah.
We might
You
see
would like
Haynes King on the bench, and that would make me honestly feel better about this pick. So I'm gonna take the Aggies.
go U. It's all about the U. The U is back, baby. So
All right, so that is the straight up picks. Now we're gonna give you our 3 best on the betting board. Let you kick it off with your first one.
yeah, we don't even have to get into the records from last week. So, the yeah, I'm a man of my word. I'll read them out. For our 3 bets last week or whatever, I lost 2 of them and I pushed one. UNC barely covered, or they pushed basically, and then Bama, Texas over obviously didn't hit. Kentucky, Florida obviously didn't hit. Grayson went 3-0, yada yada. Jacob went 2-1. He had Tennessee and Iowa State, and then lost Baylor. So we don't care about Grayson's picks. He's finally on the board. Took him long enough.
Yeah, a couple of 0-3s and a 3-0, so that makes no sense. But nothing does with college football. So yeah, who you like for your picks this week?
A lot of the ones that you picked on the slate, I like a lot. I think the first one I'm going to go with is I like Penn State -3. I think they're just a better team than Auburn. I know they're that spread is only 3 because it's at Auburn, but I just think they're a better team in general. They'll probably win by a touchdown or 2.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, the money line's a little bit juicy, but I certainly think that they're going to get it done. I mean, I didn't quite go that far. I mean, I had them straight up, so I figure I'd leave it there. I'm also dipping into the game day slate as well for my picks, but left that one alone at least. But I do like that pick a lot. I'm going to start with a noon slate game. We didn't feature any in the game day picks because a lot of the games aren't that good, but I'm going to take the Fighting Sean Tuckers, led by now Garrett Schrader at QB. They're a 1.5 favorite. I'll just take that over the money line, make it a little easier. I don't think it's that close, to be honest. I mean, just give the ball to Sean Tucker. Good things are going to happen. It's worked so far. They're 2-0. I think they're going to be 3-0
Yeah.
come middle of Saturday afternoon.
Yep. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Another one that I like is also on the. No, I don't. I'm between 2 on the slate, but then again, I might as well go with all 3. Yeah, I like BYU -3.5 over Oregon. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. Go with my gut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, I'm a little like that game makes me a little bit nervous. I think that we could see a big rebound from the Ducks. Obviously, a lesser opponent back at home. Maybe some form of resurgence from Bo Nix not getting embarrassed by SEC competition again. But that's a tricky one I wanted no part of. So I commend you for at least taking a stab at it.
Yeah.
So another one that looks a little tricky, but I'm going to try and find my way to a win here. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path this one. I'm going to take Southern Cal on the first half line at -7.5.
Oh, we're getting serious now.
I'm not super impressed with their second half defense. Not that it matters. We saw Stanford win the final quarter last week 14-0. I don't think it really mattered. They still covered. They still won. They still dominated them every facet of the game. But just in case the backdoor cover does happen this week, this is a Southern Cal team that's been up 31-14 and 35-14 at the half to this point. Now, Rice, I don't know if that truly is a data point to go off of, but I think Stanford is, and they did even better against Stanford. So give me the Trojans by at least 10 coming into halftime against Fresno State late Saturday night.
I've already changed my mind. I'm not. That BYU. No, I'm not touching that. executive decision.
Okay.
You can play it,
Go
and
ahead.
I was a man of my word already this season. Sticking with Oregon, I'm not doing that again. Screw that. I'm replacing that with Michigan State -3.5 or -3 against Washington.
+3.
Oh yeah, Michigan State +3.
Yeah.
+3.
There you go.
We gotta get that verbiage right again. Michigan State
good.
+3. And you go ahead and give your nope, and then I'm gonna piggyback off of yours just now.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Trojans -12.5 completely. So
I
hopefully
like that.
we're gonna cheer for some offense that game.
Right. I will continue my Trojan fandom past halftime now for the full game. We get a couple more winners on the pod. Since you stole it back from me, I had Sparty +3 on my card as well. I'm gonna pivot to another noon game, try and get my wins in early. Give me Georgia in the 25 points.
Go Dogs.
We've seen this upset happen in the past. It's a very different set of teams. This Georgia team has climbed to the top of the mountain, beat Saban and Natty, and from what we saw a couple weeks ago, this team is just as good. And USC has done a lot of things. They have not impressed me to this point. So, like I said, there's history with these two in this venue, but I don't think the Cinderella story repeats itself. Give me Georgia and the 25 points.
So, to sum it up, I got BYU, Penn State, at Michigan State, Miami. Then I have already forgotten them. BYU -3.5, Sparty +3, and then Southern Cal -12.5. So those are what I'm going with this weekend. I wouldn't trust them. I don't trust them myself, but we shall see.
It's our best 3 stabs at it. And of course, the 5 picks straight up. Try to keep those spreads as close as we can. Keep you guys entertained. But since ESPN sucks and doesn't want to give App State any attention, we decided to. But yeah, so that's the college slate this week.
Yep. Those are our NCAA picks. Got anything else?
No, I'm good for my Saturday action.
Gotcha. Go check them out. We'll probably tweet them out too on the 1009 podcast. On Twitter, we'll be on YouTube, all that jazz. You know the deal. So we'll catch you on the flip side.
Subscribe.